Our first family computer was an Atari, but after all these years I really want to know what that war with Amiga is about. Well, here we go, my very first Amiga. This is an unexpected and very generous donation from a coworker. When this showed up on my desk, it felt like Christmas. I've never even seen one with my bare eyes before this day. It was provided to me as working but floppy won't read. Perfect, I was looking for a defective unit because there's nothing like a restoration project to understand the architecture. This is all very new to me, so please excuse my ignorance and keep me honest in the comment section. I want to learn, and it's also good for the engagement. Without further ado, this is the unit, an Amiga 500, and it even comes with the original clunky mouse and the bulky power supply. As always, it is a good practice to take it apart prior to the first power on, and check for any sign of capacitor leakage or other damages, plus there's a few things we can work on while open. At first sight, everything seems very clean, and the forums mention that the 500 is not too bad in terms of leaky caps. The bad surprises are usually coming from machines with a real-time clock battery. First step of the journey will be a retro-bright session. I know some of you are seeing the yellowing as scars from a well-lived existence, but I love doing it, plus it's a good opportunity to also perform a deep cleaning. I'll now dismantle the mouse and power supply. After a generous cream coating, time for a sun bath. Nothing new under the sun, we'll use the 8-bit guy hydrogen peroxide cream method, not the best, but it's all I have on hand. The wind didn't help today, but it turned out quite okay. Here's a before-after comparison. Now we have inspected the board, time to put everything back together and attempt a first turn-up. Similar to the Atari, the monitor output is 15 kHz using an unusual DB23 connector. I crafted a custom one and added a handy switch to select between HV pulses, used for monitors and the OSSC, or composite sync to use on my PVM. Let's turn it on! Well, this image is familiar, but something I didn't know is that there's no TOS equivalent or operating system. The default 500 ROM is more like a BIOS. It looks like it's doing a bunch of boot self-tests, then continuously scans for a disk. Here's the real challenge. I can't do anything without something to boot on. I'm assuming it's a floppy drive issue, and I want to see if the floppy controller is alive. I should have done some reading, but in the excitement I also assumed it was using a Sugared interface, so I tried this Atari floppy drive. And it's working! I couldn't help laughing a bit seeing this improbable but working union. It won't let me write onto the floppy, not sure if it's a protocol, wiring or hardware issue, but anyways, controller seems fine. I'll skip the troubleshooting and repair of the original floppy drive and cover it on a separate video. For now, I'm more interested in getting a functional and practical machine, so let's work on a GoTech solution. For the GoTech, I thought it would be as simple as swapping the floppy drive for it, but apparently we're facing some issues. The enclosure is too large for the cover to close, plus the buttons and the USB socket won't match any existing slot. I'll go for a non-destructive custom jobby and reuse the original support to hold the GoTech PCB. The GoTech can be fixed using 2 existing holes and drilling a new one about here. Once marked, I'm also drilling 3 holes on the metal supports. With a set of standoffs, it's now ready to mount in the case. Everything is concealed and practical. It turns out that the LED display is more handy than I expected, so I'll need a way to make it visible. Okay, there's a few 3D models for the OLED display, but I couldn't find anything for the original cheap LED display. I decided to create one. The idea is to have something non-destructive that would clip on the vent fins. The final product looks like this. I used grey resin so I can paint it later, which I never did. And it's designed so you can just clip the LED module in. As far as wiring, thin wires can be threaded through the vents back to the GoTech. For those who are interested, I'll provide a link in the description. Another thing I just realized is you can't do much with a stock 500. Almost 90% of the demos and games I'm trying to run need some memory expansion. I found this really cheap solder-it-yourself kit on eBay, about $10 for the PCB and the parts. I know it doesn't have the look and feel from the era, but it'll do for now. You can use a hot air station or a thin soldering iron. Here we go, a nice new addition to the collection. As I don't have any commodore monitor, I'm using the OSSC in line quadrupling mode. I also found the Extron 304 to work fine, but there is a very small frame buffer delay that won't work for everyone. Anyways, that's it for today, hope you find it interesting and as always, thanks for watching.